Hypocrisy at its finest. After years of complaining about sexy female characters, Western video game industry publicly thirsts over the cast of Hades 2. It's almost like sex sells or something. Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to the GNRO Minicast. I am your host, Adam Mickelson, aka Drak. I hope everybody's having an awesome day or night when you're listening to this. And once again, we have an awesome story brought to us by boundingintocomics.com with Spence McCooley as the author. And I had to cover this because of the whole hypocrisy on display here when it came to Hades 2 and Stellar Blade, which was very much in the news when this happened. In a textbook example of the idiom rules for thee, but not for me, after years of chastising and decrying the general video game playing populace for enjoying attractive female character designs, the Western video games industry has responded to the recent reveal of Hades 2's new character designs by publicly and proudly proclaiming just how much they'd like to sleep with each and every one of them. Oh, but if you do that with the Stellar Blade protagonist, oh, well, you're just a hateful bigot. Of course, why not? The designs in question were first unveiled on April 17th, courtesy of a 3-hour live stream of the game hosted by its developer, SuperGiant Games. Therein, not only were players given their first look at the updated appearances of a handful of Greek gods who are set to return for the first game, Demeter, Artemis, Selene, and Aphrodite, but we're also introduced to newcomer Hephaestus, this incarnation portraying the mythical blacksmith as a portly and wheelchair-bound amputee. Because of course, we have to accommodate to every check on the list, don't we? Even though it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And despite having spent the past few weeks accusing anyone who dared to enjoy the attractive design of Stellar Blade protagonist Eve of being everything from incels to pornography addicts, near immediately after Hades 2 made its character reveals, members of the wider video game industry in particular, and unsurprisingly video game journalists, took to the internet to celebrate just how sexy the aforementioned Greek gods were. Yes, and we loved the hypocrisy. We absolutely did, and we will continue to make fun of people like Alyssa Mercante for the double standard that they very clearly shown in that moment. In fact, the only people that I kind of feel bad for is SuperGiant Games, because they got brought into something that really wasn't their business. They're just out advertising their game, even though I do think they're making some bad decisions. That being said, I am looking forward to Hades 2. I'm hoping that maybe SuperGiant can stop going down this woker direction, but that's up to them. But unfortunately, they've been brought into this mess, so now they have to deal with it. It's very funny that there are chuds out there being like, the woke gaming journalists hate sexy women. Meanwhile, my entire timeline is hooting and hollering about these Hades 2 character portraits, proclaimed Lex Luddy, the editor-in-chief of the video game news site Start Menu. And yes, this tweet is absolute hypocrisy at its finest, because they don't realize the problem here. And we'll get into this a little bit more in depth at the end of the article, but they don't understand the very clear double standard on display here. How did they make them even hotter? Replied Games Radar. It might as well be a porn site. Games Radar and games industry contributor Alicia Haddock. They must be stopped. Likewise, The Last of Us 2 senior technical gameplay animator Maeve Rains exclaimed, "They made them hotter!" Oh, Jiminy and here's the icing on the cake. Kotaku's senior editor Alyssa Mercante, who readers may know for having authored the site's now notorious defense of Sweet Baby Inc., took particular interest in Aphrodite, retweeting her design and questioning, "Mommy, sorry." Because in case you guys don't know, because she has to proclaim it to everybody and their uncle and maybe even their pet duck, she's gay. Do we care? No. But she wants to make sure you know about it so that maybe you can show some semblance of caring. It's not gonna happen, Alyssa. In fact, I'm pretty sure most women avoid you, because you're just a horrible person inside. Retweeting Mercante's post, PC Gamer contributor Dominic Terrison mocked, "Gamergaters, the wokes are stealing all the sexy from games. Hades 2, yes, our game is the most inclusive, progressive take on Greek myth ever written, and also the maximum hornt, sick, you can possibly get while still somehow squeaking in with a T rating. Yeah, again, showing double standards here. Very clear double standards. Taking note of the fact that this outpouring of safe, horny rhetoric, there's nothing safe and there's absolutely everything creepy about the horny rhetoric coming from the same industry that almost universally spent the last few years condemning them for similar behavior towards characters such as Nier Automata's 2B, Bayonetta's title protagonist, and most recently Stellar Blade's Eve. Players eventually took to directly calling out those thirsting over the cast of Hades 2 for the sheer hypocrisy of their what you like bad, what I like good outlook towards their media consumption. In turn, rather than admitting to the glaringly obvious hypocrisy of their stance on sexy characters, or at least to having a bias towards conventionally attractive characters, the industry instead took to making justifications for their double standard. Because of course they did. Because they have to justify and virtue signal and everything under the fucking sun. And we still all think that you're a bunch of mentally ill twats. So how well did that work out for you? Let's find out. Penning a piece headlined, Hades 2 is the kind of hot we need right now for Kotaku. I'm sorry, how deep in the toilet are they now? The aforementioned Mercante argued, Hades' character's sexy... I'm sorry, we need the PR voice for this, don't we? Hades' character's sexiness is woven into their personalities. I'm pretty sure it isn't. As much a part of them as their wants, needs, and emotions, and their bodies. But you don't care about any of that shit, you just cared about their bodies. As you very clearly stated. Or do I need to show the tweet again? Because it's absolutely stupid and retarded. However scantily clad or salacious are not in motion. They cannot be manipulated or posed or peered at from different angles. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Because I'm pretty sure there are other sketches. I'm pretty sure there are a bunch of different designs and different takes on that design. I think you're full of shit, Alyssa, but that's alright. Instead, it's like you're looking at statues or paintings. That makes it any better? Of these gods in their eternal infinite sexiness. I'm going to tell you right here and now, just the designs that I have seen, the last thing that I'm going to say about them is sexiness, because I can already tell you Aphrodite in question in particular looks like she has a male jaw, so there we go, we're catering to the trans audience. You obviously are catering to the disabled audience who don't give a fuck because of the Hephaestus redesign. I'm also looking at Hecate, and no, not really working for me. Celine, not really working for me. But then again, I'm one of those weird people that thinks that you can design feminine-looking characters and add elegance to them, kind of like how Stellar Blade did it. She further attempted to defend her and her ideological allies' actions. There is desire here, sure, but there's also power and reclamation, so you just barely said that sex shouldn't sell, but you're okay with sex selling here. Should we point out the multitude of hypocrisies here, Alyssa, or do you get them all? There's also power and reclamation. There's longing because you only get a tiny little taste of their beauty. The concept of look but don't touch is incredibly sexy. Just question. If Aphrodite had a robe on, would she not be sexy to you, Alyssa? Because I'm pretty sure she'd be less sexy to you, and you would then be holding Supergiant accountable for not trying to show off said sexiness. Because sometimes there is sexiness in the fact that you actually aren't showing off dem curves, or you're showing them off in a different way. Or maybe you're just fucking creepy. I'll go with fucking creepy. I think that's actually accurate. The concept of look but don't touch is incredibly sexy. No, it's not, because we all know that you want to touch. It's part of why strip clubs, many of which have strict rules on touching the performers, are so lucrative. No, because they're vices. Because they're addictive. That's why they're so lucrative. There's really no difference between a strip club and a drug dealer when you look at the raw basic facts of it. The honest viewpoint that I have here is that maybe you're just addicted to strip clubs and this is just your thing. Maybe you have some weird voyeurism fetish, I don't know. Offering a similar refrain on Twitter, Games Radar staff writer Jasmine Gould Wilson retweeted a post from fellow user Veed's tweets claiming that Aphrodite knows she's hot. You can tell by how she looks at you. Really, because all I can tell is that they're trying to make her look like a man. Eve doesn't. She's posed but expressionless. I've seen plenty of expression on that character. Hades 2 has a wide range of character skin tones, ages, body type, except you can't manipulate them with Aphrodite. I'm pretty sure those are set images. So that's not a worthwhile argument. Stellar Blade's women seem to only look like Eve. No. Sexy isn't bad. Pretending there's only one type is. And God damn it. They're such stupid here. Camera angles say it all. So the angles that you want are pure voyeurism and you want naked chicks. Yeah, I think we still have the high end of the high ground in that argument, lady. Camera angles say it all. Aphrodite is shown from a low angle. She's shown to show her vagina. I'll give you that. She has agency. She is a powerful and intimidating figure. This does not tell any of that. This says that she's promiscuous and that all you have to do is say the right words and she'll bed you. This is not power. This is domination, it's basically domination in that regard. I'm not there with you. Eve stares blankly at you head on when you're not sitting right behind her spandex-covered ass. Oh, there's your problem. She doesn't like all the spandex in front of her ass. She just wants the bare ass. How is it that some gay people are actually even creepier than straight people? Just asking for a friend. Observing her from above because you have power over her. Because it's actually a worthwhile storytelling angle. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why you have your job. So there you go. At current, Stellar Blade is getting ready for its April 26th sortie date, which it already has hit that point. But that wraps up this article. I know that the article is fairly old, but again, I want to point out the double standard and hypocrisies that the gaming industry, specifically the gaming journalism industry, is showcasing us right now, and they are basically showing us who they are, mask off. And frankly, I'm glad that they did, because everybody got to see you for who you are. And now we get to determine whether or not we want to continue to hear your really creepy opinions. I mean, I haven't heard them for years, but now people actually get to make the choices. Again, the only people I feel bad for in this is SuperGiant Games, because yeah, they're catering to you, and that's entirely their choice. And well, sales numbers are going to reflect whether or not it actually worked for them. But the bottom line is that you brought them into the crossfire of something that they probably wanted nothing to do with. And frankly, now they get to pay the price. I'd almost want SuperGiant to keep track of their numbers, so to speak, because I have a feeling that this discussion is going to get brought up a lot when it comes to Hades 2. And if they can actually verifiably showcase that their lack of sales is in any way attributed to what people like Alyssa Mercante say, they should be able to sue them for basically destroying all advertising for their game. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, I'm still going to try out Hades 2. I know that it's on early access right now. I tend to not try early access games. Early access games are still pretty buggy as far as I'm concerned, so I'm not touching it until it's a final release candidate. But as far as I like how Hades 2 looks, but this was such a blatant double standard being showcased by games journalism. And of course, the other point that I want to make clear here, you'll notice that SuperGiant Games, a studio based in, I can't remember exactly where it is. SuperGiant Games, a studio based in San Jose, California. They have no problem with one of their lead female characters that you're going to interact with, Aphrodite, being just naked right in front of you. And yeah, people are going to make the argument, well, the hair's covering. No, because we all know that that's just hair. And it's leaving nothing to the imagination of what's there. Aside from, given that you gave her a male jaw, it wouldn't surprise me if she had, well, dangly bits. Which is going to make that character incredibly unattractive. Which will be a hypocrisy to Aphrodite, since she's the goddess of fertility. Oh, wait, is Alyssa going to make the argument she's the goddess of love? No, she's the goddess of fertility. Get the fuck over it. But again, you have a North American studio, and the arguments that are being made in this article specifically are, let's go over them for a second. Eve is a character in Stellar Blade, which was made by a studio called Shift Up in Korea. You also have 2B, who is in Nier Automata, a Square Enix game made in Japan, last I checked. And then you have Bayonetta. Bayonetta is made by Platinum. To my knowledge, Platinum is still based in Japan. So it's not just a double standard of rules for me but not for thee, but it also shows a very clear bias towards North American studios as opposed to a more very blatant hatred for Eastern studios. Don't you find that interesting? Asian studios get this hatred, but not the North American studios. And once again, I think another part that has to be played into this is San Jose, California, a coastal state where liberalism is heavily gathered. And some people are going to point out to me, well, San Jose is not that bad. No, California is that bad. And frankly, the northern part of it really ought to separate. Or do I need to mention one of the people that left San Jose because he was on the wrong side of the political spectrum? Cough, nerdrotic, cough, cough. So it's not just a double standard when it comes to we prefer that our Western game developers make the sexy ladies, but not the Eastern developers. No, they need to they need to conform to how we want things. It's also, we want to support this particular studio because these people are shit. Well, excuse me. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't care who makes the game. All I care about is whether or not the game is made good. And we will find out eventually if that's the case for Hades 2. But we already know the case for Stellar Blade. And man, Alyssa, you were full of shit on that one. But that's going to go ahead and do it for my opinion. Overall, I'm just laughing at the double standard here because once again, they showcase that sex sells. And even though they don't want sex to sell, they want sex to sell. But look, I'd like to know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. Let me know where you stand on this. I'm just going to sit back and laugh at it. As far as I'm concerned, Alyssa Mercante just continues to show just how retarded she is. But that's all right. We'll have plenty more to talk about with her. In the meantime, though, if you liked what you saw, make sure to leave a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel. It definitely very much helps me out with the YouTube algorithms and whatnot and shows them that maybe other opinions aren't necessarily so bad. And I will see you guys next time for the next GNRO Minicast. In the meantime, thank you so much to Bounding Into Comics and Spencer McCooley for this wonderful article, and I will catch you guys next time. Take care, my friends.